everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. As you can see, we are still developing away. One day I'll be talking off of this screen primarily, and then we are ready to rock and roll the next cycle. So we're still working away. I'm having a lot of fun, as I've said repeatedly to you guys, building out our screeners. And actually, we're in the process of building just really basic screeners for people. But one thing I thought I wanted to show you guys, which was just so cool, is we're actually getting a whole bunch of crypto signals now. And actually, it was interesting. This particular screen, see, there's a crypto signal. The Aussies, the guys down under, have been, hey, we want Australian stocks, and they've been harassing Sjord so much that Sjord's like, fine, get off my back, I'll put the Aussie stocks in here. So Aussies, you better give a big thank you to Sjord. So now you can see that the dashboard, slowly we're building out the dashboard and signaling system and everything. It is a work in progress, but we're slowly making progress, so that's good. So can't really comment too much off of the dashboard here yet. We have some widgets and stuff. Nice to see we fixed RSS feeds and stuff, and of course econs are coming in, and we have our little fear greed index. These are just outside resources, but nonetheless. Interesting to see. Crypto, we were cranking down in very fearful land there a few weeks ago. Space is feeling a little bit more optimistic. I think on balance, what everybody should have taken away from this experience over the past month or two is just it's almost cliche the way that the tax loss selling season drives prices of speculative assets like things like cryptocurrencies into the ground into the end of the year. And then mysteriously, they just start percolating back up into the new year. And you turn your head and all of a sudden you look back and holy Jesus, prices are all jumping up. So that is the market. And actually is interesting, like Kevin and I, even before the broadcast, oh, by the way, this is the official Kevin is Great episode of the Broiler Chickens recap, just so you're aware. Inside joke. And he is awesome. If anything, you know what I want? What I want to see today is if you're going to put a comment or something, I love the accolades of me. That's awesome. But let's all in the comments thank Kevin for the great job of just sort of keeping this going day in, day out, and keeping us on the bus. I'd love to see some thank yous from all you regular participants, because he does an awesome job here, and it's very quiet, backgroundy stuff. But without him, I couldn't possibly do this. So thank you, Kevin. There you go. Hugs and kisses. Okay. I could go on for a half an hour. I won't. Okay, so our chart deck, this is where we're supposed to be talking to you guys, but I always talk way too much in these damn videos, but what the hell. First and foremost, if I understand correctly, actually we have a pretty big event coming up. Fed is meeting for the month of January. So not a big surprise to see US dollar maybe being bid up on the anticipation maybe the Fed's going to raise rates. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Get paid more money? Who knows? I also think, too, this is, in my opinion, it's less a conversation about the U.S. dollar, and it's really more a conversation, again, this is just my opinion, but it's more a conversation about the euro. The euro's just, it's getting repriced here. You can see it happening as we speak. I've been talking to you guys recently. I mean, I've been a uber euro bear. And I hate to say it, but this lady, she's going to be tested. She thinks she's a banker. Well, let's just see how good of a banker she actually is. Put this tweet out as the market was breaking down last on the holiday, which was really interesting because we all crashed Top Steps morning broadcast. It was so cute. Love seeing all the TRIers there. And good luck, everybody, if you want to get funded by a prop firm. I think they're a pretty reputable firm as it goes, and not a bad place to cut your teeth. But we were in there on the holiday all talking about Lagarde was going to have a big speech and watch out for that. And we painted this head and shoulders and went, gee whiz, what does this look like? Doesn't look good. And keep in mind that this is like a risk-on bet. So if the euro's getting repriced and crapping out here, that's risk-offy. So I kind of think that this is actually the trade that's driving all this risk-off talk right now. We'll see how it goes. Only time will tell. Did just hit 1.618, which, for mathematicians is a pretty important number. But I actually think we have to go down to this 200% or the head and shoulders objective. And notice too, right? Big fat round number, 110. My hunch is we oscillate in and around here. And if you can, and you do buy euros on a regular basis, my hunch is if you can get euros below 110, I think that's actually a cute little treat for you. So, maybe consider the euros going on sale right now on special. So that's what I think is actually driving the sort of international currency markets right now to a certain degree. Like I said, euro or U.S. dollar, obviously 35% of that index. Huge point of it. It is pushing higher. And then also, too, who's going to sell U.S. dollars right in the face of the Fed? And if they, heaven forbid, do come out and actually raise rates, which I think is a snowball's chance in hell right now. But if they do, this silly U.S. dollar might keep cranking up. So, seeing the Europeans talk about negative interest rates, blah, 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 what's the incentive? Is the incentive to buy euros right now? I don't think so. And actually, I had a really long conversation with the Daily Brief audience here today. It turns out that there's actually this very quiet entity out there that is relentlessly and continuously buying U.S. Treasury bonds for pensions and for retirements in countries that don't have interest rates on their bonds, i.e. negative yields. You can't, how the hell do you pay a pension if you buy an investment, a guaranteed investment, you actually owe money. So I thought this was really interesting because the entire market, of course, is focused on China. But there's actually this Asian entity, this Asian purchasing body, Japan, South Korea, Indonesia. There's a couple other big Philippines, I think, are in there too. And they're actually buying more U.S. treasuries than the Chinese are. And nobody's talking about that. So I thought that was an interesting sort of side, something that I picked up. If anything, and I had this long conversation with the site people today, all the people in Asia, they're all like, USA, go to war with China. Have a field day. Knock them down a peg. And they're all the other actors and players are all quietly doing the same things that China used to do years ago. But can't because they're under the microscope. Anyway, kind of a fun talk. Crazy times we're living in, that's for sure. Risk on, risk off. I'm getting the impression it's almost like we hit a little bit of stability there in the debate over the past maybe 24 hours, 48 hours. I've talked at length about how I don't believe this coronavirus really is that big of a issue, but it is a great political football to throw around the TV stations and distract people from that $7.5 billion options deal that they took the market into. And then, gee whiz, as soon as that was done, they brought the market right out of there. I do think, like I said, a big chunk of this risk on, risk off is a function of that euro, which is a risk on proxy. US dollar moving up, that's a risk off proxy. Interestingly enough, though, like I'm looking at the Japanese yen right now, and if I was a gold bug and I saw this Japanese yen right now, I'd be like, oh shit, I don't want to see that. That's an inside bar failure off of basically a V bottom. So the Japanese yen has run out of steam here. I kind of talked to, and at length I thought it hilarious on the Daily Brief that the bonds have really done nothing more than just simply rallied right up. You can see the Kiss Mountain Man here. And if anything, the funny thing is I shorted the bonds right on that rally there. It looks to me like they just brought this market right back into another shorting window. Oh, Jesus. And to add insult to injury, and now, we have an update here. If this comes in, we actually close below this low tomorrow. That is a failure there, but there is no sign of failure. So believe it or not, the bonds, I could actually see them move up even a little bit more into that Fed announcement. And then maybe after the Fed, that's when they roll over. One thing that did jump out at me this morning, which I was a little surprised at, is gold actually put in a bearish fractal failure there. Bang, bang, bang. Uh-oh. So something's not right there. And of course, I look at the goddamn gold stocks, and this is insanity what's going on here. So if anything, my propensity just to leave this market alone, I was hunting short ideas. Now we're getting this absolute insane volatility on things like Barrick and Newmont, gaps all over the place. I'm happy I didn't step in on the buy side, and I'm just sitting here going, okay, let's let the dust settle here. And of course, I'm still very interested in hunting put options. Because I hate to say it, folks. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like when I say this kind of stuff. But, look at that straight up. And this is supposed to be January, supposed to be the seasonal top in the gold market. So are these guys kind of maybe looking a little bit vulnerable, especially this gold and silver index? Ay, ay, ay. And I don't know. If somebody had the balls to step in and hit that reload short zone, congratulations to you. That was a fucking kick-ass trade. So I'm not on the buy side in the gold market right now, that's for sure. But I'm still not ready to get short just yet. So I'm sorry, nothing really to report there. I'll just simply say risk on, risk off. Once, I still think that they're going to take the stock market up into the end of January. First week, first day, we're all very positive. I don't see any reason why we finish on a down note. You can see they're basically taking back that whole repricing event, just bang, 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 straight back up. The problem here is, you see, first day down and then another down, first week down and then another down. So the problem here is that I think, February, March is not going to be that great of a month. We'll probably finish the month fairly strong, implying a strong year end. This is probably sort of reflecting all the anxiety and worry around the U.S. election event. And like I said, my hunch is I think they're sort of thinking, oh, maybe Bernie Sanders socialism wins. And we find that Mr. Trump wins, business as usual, and the market finishes up near its highs. But, that's just conjecture now. Long and short of it here, January barometer is still pointing up, and I think we have to look for an up stock market. Interesting to see oil slowly coming down into its seasonal buying window here, which gives me more pause about gold here. I'm in there constantly buying stuff. I like W's, Brian. I bought this shipping stock off of this W here back in December. There was sort of the year-end tax loss selling window end rally. And you notice that they've just worked her way right back down to the bottom end of the range. And we're starting to battle here. Are we going to W? I have this fun bet on the site. Here's another shipping stock. One guy on the site's like, I think this guy's going to outperform. And I'm like, well, I think this guy's going to outperform. I actually like this stock so much that, and this is David that I did the trade with, the bet. Here's our bet picture. You've probably seen these on these daily videos, right? The bets. David's killing me now here. But, a good idea is a good idea is a good idea. I like the look of this channel. Longer the channel, the bigger the run. So I went and bought some of this stock too. I remember, people, I'm not telling you what to buy. I won't be offended if you go, oh, God, I'd never buy that stock in a million years. That's fine. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So actually, I have 2 shipping stocks now on the books. I do like this little channel, and it's got a nice little W here. If she craps out, I'll blow it out here. On a loss of these lows, we'll see how it goes. And what's really interesting is this actually might, if I'm really lucky, it might actually even be a bot setup on this stock. And the bot setup itself might actually produce a nice little double for me here. So here are those bot levels. You can see the bot trade will trigger at 127, which is in essence just accepting above value here. You can see the internals are starting to point up. I like the look of it. I mean, I'm a risk taker. I'm in the stock market to take a risk. It's what I do. So I bought some of this. This is what I would consider. I would call this like front running the bot. And if this 127 level is taken out, then I'm laughing. Woohoo! We'll see how it goes. So I want to give you an idea. What are the kind of things that I'm interested in the stock market? Of course, heading on over to corn. And you're all looking over here going, fuck, man, screw this stocks. I want this shit. We'll get to it in a minute. Ooh, what a tease, what a tease. Did I mention that this is Kevin Appreciation Day at TRI? Everybody give a big thank you to Kevin. I mean, please, I hope this isn't coming across as insulting, Kevin. I mean, I honestly, every time I say that, I'll reiterate it. Go, Kevin. Okay, so, we've had this same chart on the screen for you guys over on YouTube for a while. Nothing's really changed here. I think it's an excellent analogy of climbing the wall of worry. Really good lesson for everybody to see the effect of tax loss selling window and then into the new year. And of course, we got a big fundamental event coming ahead of us in the spring. So let's go buy some Bitcoin. I think it's a good idea, everybody. Don't get sucked into the euphoria. Try to, play from a position of strength. Usually, I find that the best sort of entries are after, all the kids on Twitter are all going crazy and stuff. So, like in this kind of scenario, maybe just let the market calm down. The enthusiasm of the market. You could have FOMO'd and chased up here, but the enthusiasm sort of calms down. Remember, we talked about Wyckoff checks. You could let the breakout happen and say, okay, well, I like W, so I'll throw my bid in and see if I can get a fill on a pullback. And the funny thing is, you could have done this a couple times. Big breakout, don't chase. There's the breakout level, especially if you change this to a line chart. You should be able to really see that well. Let's see what we got here. Let's go. Yeah. So, higher highs, higher lows, defines a bull, zips down. Didn't close there, but I think on an intraday basis we did get down into there. If anything, you'd love this, right? So you have your bid working here. You get filled and the market jackknifes away from you instantly. Well, here we go again. Big surge higher. Raw new high. Show me a new high and I'll show you a buy. Problem is it really a good idea for us to chase and go and buy up here? I don't know. I don't think so. I suppose you could have looked at this video yesterday and said, well, Brian, if I chased and went and just bought here, look at me, I'm kicking ass. But, this could have gone either up or down. If you did buy here, how do you define that you're wrong and you better get out? Right? Really, ironically enough, it would be able to move through these lows. That's a pretty darn big risk window. So, what can you say? The market's pointing higher. We've got this halving event coming up ahead of us. If anything, I'm a little concerned. I would prefer that. It doesn't really matter what I prefer. What I kind of think's going on here is, there is our halving event, right here. Boom. Usually we find that the market tops about a month ahead of that event, and I think it's become fairly common knowledge. Also, too, we can now actually start drawing even bigger AB equals CDs, taking us up even further. For the lower time frame traders, and I think we did this through the weekend, you could have said, well, look at the moving averages are pointing up. That crazy Beamish guy is pointing out megaphones. It's a really interesting little 4-hour double bottom that came in down in here. Maybe I'm going to trade this megaphone. And if that's the case, I would strongly, strongly suggest you be taking some profits up in here. You don't have to sell all of your position. Nobody said you had to. It's your money. You can do anything you want with. What I really like to see people do is, let's say you snuck in off of this little megaphone reversal, moves halfway, at least move your stop to scratch. So that way, if it just craps out and it was a trap, okay, well, next bus in 10 minutes, no big deal. In this particular case, we're running up. Now we've hit like a 3.5 risk reward window. For heaven's sakes, pay yourself a little bit. Ironically enough, your stop is still at scratch on whatever the remaining is. And maybe you want to just spoon feed the market as we move up. Maybe on that remaining, you're going to say something like, we have a number of different strategies to trail stops, things like 3 high-low method to trail my stops. Maybe I'll use a close below something like a 13 period EMA to trail stops. And the point of the matter here is, if you are on this winning position and you got in off of this, for heaven's sakes, pay yourself something. And make damn sure that, now if this thing craps out, for heaven's sakes, don't lose money. Please. And give yourself a pat on the back. It was a pretty tricky trade to take. So certainly not amateur. Bit on the professional side. The problem that I have here now, right? And higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market. Rah, rah, rah. We're heading higher. We got habiting coming up. Woohoo! All that, right? Does the market ever move in a straight line? We all know it doesn't. What I'm a little bit worried about here is now, especially if we do get sort of, big blasts here, who's going to be coming in and buying these moves up top here? How do we know that it's not really the institutional and smart money players that are buying, it's the public? And that's where we get that sort of divergence kind of conversation. So we spent a lot of time in the daily brief this morning just saying, what does this sort of like 4-hour chart look like? And I think I've been talking with you guys in the public about these charts. This was a lower time frame setup coming into reload zones and of course taking profits. Ding, ding, ding. Ring that register. Is it a good idea to call a top here and short? I don't think so. And remember yesterday we talked about that little head and shoulders that came in there that broke that sort of fast move line up, the fast face rip. And that's what all this was. Choppy, 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 chop, chop, chop. Remember we had said that if we actually wanted to see a sell signal, we have to see a second M come in. And ideally, the really powerful, huge move signals are if they can resolve through the 50 line. So in this case, right, there was that little head and shoulders top. There's the fail. And then notice, and I talked about this with the site member people today, you can actually measure the size of this head and shoulders, and it gives you a pretty good idea of where this down move wants to come to. So since we did hold this low, this line's broken now. Little M came in. But notice how she came back down. And now we've created this sort of wedge of momentum. The problem here is, this isn't necessarily a buy signal. This isn't necessarily a sell signal. This is, I'm overbought. Gave you a little signs of exhaustion. And now, what was that term that I used before that institutional players look for? That is sort of an indicator that maybe the public is now buying. Divergence. Dun, dun, dun. Notice price went to new highs. RSI did not. Uh-oh. And then look at our MACD here. Oh boy. Remember I told you, I think it was on the weekend show, I said, for heaven's sakes, if you ever see a chart that looks all this WE stuff, don't short. God. You're going to get run over. Well, there is the running over. Vroom! Guess who's coming in on the buy side up here? Wait a minute. The volume bars are falling. What's going on here? I thought this was a bull. And what's worse is this is actually an OBV divergence too. Uh-oh. So this is starting to look a little dangerous here, folks. I would say that, for now, the trap move is over. And we're trying to sort of figure out whether this big honkin' new well-defined M that will be a divergence, whether that comes in. If that divergence actually confirms, and you can see it's awfully close here. You can see RSI is turning back up, so it's sort of like, ooh, that was a close one. You can see prices sort of cleaning up here a little bit. If we crap out and that divergence confirms, well, then now, not only do I have location, remember we were coming up into Mountain Man and reload zone levels off of higher time frames. So I got location, Then I'll actually have confirmed divergence, right? Watch what happens when you get divergences. I can actually start thinking about probably my hunches wherever this ultimate top does come in. We're going to start looking on lower time frames for things like 50% retracements. But that's not here now. This divergence has not been confirmed yet. Looks like MACD is confirming. OBV is confirming. So we had higher time frame trade location. Now what I would be expecting to see, of course, is if I was thinking about shorting, right, can I get a nice polite M to come in? So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. The problem here is, like I said, not a good idea to step in. You saw what happened in that gold market shorting that, right? And keep in mind, there are people that are still long. And if you're long and your stops are now at scratch, you're laughing. You're just enjoying this bull. And I would just sit back and relax. Ironically enough, 50% retracement, all it's going to do is just bring us back down to these levels. And actually it was an old TRI site OG that brought this to my attention today. So it's great to see all these old alumni still are, participating in the market, and sort of seeing the messages that we tried to convey through school programs. So two things jump out at me. So the first things first, you can see this AB equals CD, and the market is like basically going parabolic right now. Is it a good idea to step in the face of that? I don't know. Also, too, this gentleman sent me this really interesting, you can see the green sort of expanding wedge of price action, which would imply a nice little test of this triangle, right? These two lows. This is kind of like high to low trend line analysis. It's one of the topics that we cover in our education program. Probably if we go line chart, you see that a little clearer, right? See how that's pretty solid. Oh, come on, you. There we go. All right, so it's low, low, high. See that? So my hunch is we probably want to work into this area here. So, again, seeing all those signs of divergence, does it surprise us that if we get some sort of big blow off top, what are we going to hear the crypto kids on Twitter going? They're going to be going apeshit. Moon, 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 moon. And unfortunately, that is sort of the trap that I'm kind of anticipating here. So I thought that was interesting. I've talked to you guys lots about trap bulls and bears. You can see all the trap bulls up in this wick up here. So don't be surprised if there's going to be one hell of a fight right up in here. So remember those lower time frames? I was saying, okay, is divergence coming in? Do we have structure? No. Do we have trade location? Well, yes, but divergences are starting to form now. And then we want to see some sort of structure to frame short. So we're still too early to short. And of course, you're way too late to buy. So to that end, and this is really cool, I've been sort of talking at length recently about how I really do believe this looks like some sort of fractal, maybe a head and shoulders. And sort of all I've done is taken this price action and just simply replicated on the other side. What would happen if this did look like a fractal head and shoulders? What would price action look like? Right? So it's fascinating how markets like to do this. It's not exactly the same, but pretty damn close. There's that reload zone I talked about earlier. So we have location. We're getting signs of divergence coming in, right? But I still think, typical Bitcoin, they're going to play around up here. And then I do believe there's going to be a big sort of clean out. So, I mean, it's just opinion. Anything will happen in this crazy world. But this is kind of the framework that I'm talking to the TRI audience about right now. Interesting stuff, eh? Okay, moving on. The only other thing I'll finish off with you guys today. Holy Jesus, I got to get to class. Talk way too much. But oh well, I have fun. That's all that matters in this life, right? Try to make a positive difference in your guys' life, right? So, do things that are going to make a positive difference in other people's lives. And then, for whatever time you got on this planet, try and enjoy yourself. Try and have some fun. Not at the expense of others. That's bad karma. But, in a weird sort of way, I actually really enjoy these because I don't know. Maybe I like the sound of my own voice. Anyway, couple ideas for you to chew on. I've been talking to you guys about this one recently at length. I would seriously consider taking a real good look at these guys. Beautiful looking chart. Definitely down the bottom end of his range. Got lots of W's working. And what I like about this guy is he's got W's working versus USD. And, you know, for all the site people, you know, I got some Bitcoin on Trex. So if I want to go buy some coins, I'll go and nibble off of reload zones. And damn, this thing just gave us just the most beautiful reload zone level there. I don't know whether you were able to take advantage of this, but this is the kind of market I think we're in right now for altcoins. Do your due diligence. Do your FA. I'm not going to comment about the quality of the management teams or whether you're walking into a scam or not. You know, that's not what I do. You know that. But I'll tell you what I buy myself, and you know, full disclosure, I am long from this green box right down here. You're welcome to participate with me if you'd like on these ideas. I'm not recommending. All I'm just doing is just telling you what I'm doing with my money. So I think that's a great image to leave off the video with. All right, guys, have yourselves a great day. Wish me luck in class with all the God motors today. Actually, we're going through building your day trader, your prop trader workbench and checklists, and getting trading plans all slick. So those guys, they're ready to hit those prop firms right between the eyes. All right, everybody, have a great day. All the best, and bye for now.